Hey, what is up my fellow golf ball addicts? Welcome back to the channel. We are reviewing our first ever Nitro ball. This is the Nitro Pulsar Tour. Let's dive right in. Now technically this golf ball is called the Nitro Elite Pulsar Tour, but how many random words can you really throw behind a golf ball before it's no longer the name, you're just trying to sound cool? So we've never done a Nitro ball before. I know I've had some of you, and not many, but some of you are kind of die-hard Nitro fans and you do want to know really what I think of them. And then also there's some of you that just kind of want to know. You're like, I've seen them, I think they're trash, but are they? We don't know. Well, I was actually sent these by a viewer, a wonderful viewer. I really appreciate that. I won't give any information who it was, but essentially he sent them to me because he said they were so terrible that he wanted the world to know just how bad they were. So honestly, when I took them out and I dropped into the little drop test and I heard the sound, I thought, ooh, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll have fun with it. You know, if it ends up not being a great golf ball, we'll have fun with it. We'll see where it goes, and we'll just do it like a normal review. So let's start, as always, with, you know, where can you even get these? So I've been looking for a while. The only place I really see that you can get these is the PGA Superstore. That's where this gentleman got them from as well. If any of you have found that to be different, let me know. I mean, I've seen a couple places where they're sold out or a couple places that have older models, but it's really hard with Nitro to tell which is an older model and a newer model, because even though it's called the Nitro Elite Pulsar Tour, there's actually a couple previous models of, anyway. It's really confusing, and so if you happen to know of a different place you can get them, let me know. But otherwise, it's just PGA Superstore, and they come in at a price of $24.99 for a dozen golf balls, which it doesn't sound, you know, really out of the ordinary at first until you realize that it is a three-piece urethane golf ball, and that pretty much is going to be the lowest, you know, we see at this price point. The cut golf balls still are, which is awesome, but, you know, even your Legato, your Wright and Ditson, you know, your Vice Pro, if you get them in a pack, you know, they're all around that $30 range. There's nothing that's $25 for that, right? And so it kind of makes me a little nervous being that low, but cut golf balls aren't bad, so there is a possibility for this being good. So let's go ahead and dive in to the design of the golf ball. If you look at the front there, that Nitro Elite, not a great looking logo, very basic. They probably found the most basic font they could and just, you know, italicized it and bolded it, and there you go, you know, Nitro Elite. Not a big fan of that at all. If you come around on the side here and look, now actually this is an interesting alignment tool. It kind of reminds me of, up close, a hamburger, but from far away, a hot dog. Like if you kind of, you know, squint your eyes, you can see that. But it says Pulsar Tour in the middle, and if it wasn't for the red lines, I'd really hate it. But with the red lines, I actually like the alignment tool a lot. It's very vivid. If I hold it up here, pretty easy to see. I mean, pretty standard, so that's not bad. Now the other thing that really concerns me is looking at this golf ball. You know, it looks extremely cheap for a urethane golf ball. I mean, if you handed this to me and said, hey, guess what's on it? I would basically guess, you know, oh, yeah, this is your normal Surlyn iometer blend cover. Like, that's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. That's what, but apparently it's not. Apparently it's urethane. So maybe the actual coating of the golf ball itself, like the actual outer layer, is urethane, but as far as what they sprayed on top, this has to be the cheapest polyurethane coating on the outside I've seen. Like, it's really bad. So I am kind of nervous about that as well, but for $25 a dozen, you got to kind of cut corners somewhere, right? So, I mean, you got to make a sacrifice somewhere. Overall, not a great design, not something that gives me confidence, not something that when I look at it, I think, yeah, this baby's going to go a mile. It kind of reminds me of a Walmart ball. So let's go ahead and get out to the chipping and putting green, and let's see what we do out there. So Nitro Elite, Nitro Elite three-piece golf ball. I don't really have any expectations for this, to be completely honest with you. I have no idea how it's going to react. I've never tested a Nitro ball before. I've always been hesitant, so let's just hit a couple shots, see what happens. Wow, okay, well, actually really good checkup there, okay. Really good checkup. Let's try it again. Oh my goodness, some of the best checkup I've seen in a while on a golf ball. That's kind of interesting here. One more time. Huh. Okay, well, I would say we're off to a good start, huh? So it's very soft. There's a bouncy ball effect to it. It definitely springs off the club. It doesn't take a lot of effort. As far as the sound goes, you might not be able to hear it that well through the mic, since the mic's more higher up on my body. But, I mean, it's not a super loud click. But guys, I'm telling you right now, the checkup is phenomenal. I mean, it's got to be one of the best I've ever tested when it comes to greenside checkup. It's just so much. A little mishit there. Still forgave me for the most part. Let me try to get it to go left, just to see here. I'll kind of close the face. No, I couldn't get it to go left much, but boy, you could tell there was a lot of spin on the golf ball. That could have been it could have been me. Okay. Just want that pure strike. Yeah, I mean, all around, it's just really consistent and it spins a lot. Again, you know, with this Nitro Pulsar Tour, excuse me, I don't know what to expect, to be completely honest with you. I will say, as far as the alignment tool goes, it is a different style of alignment tool. Kind of from up here, it almost looks like a hamburger because of the way it's positioned, or a hot dog or something. It kind of looks cool, but you can actually see it. I mean, it actually does work, and you can see your alignment really well. So, you know, either way, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a try. Completely dead. One of the most deadest golf balls I've ever felt. Went in the hole though, that's pretty cool. But I mean, completely dead. No spring off of it at all. Some golf balls will have chug effects, spring off real hard. This was just, I mean, it felt slow coming off, which isn't a bad thing, but. Okay, a little chug there. Might have been me. Not bad though. It's weird, it has this sound that's like a knock, like almost like a knock on wood, which is really weird. I've never heard a sound quite like that before. So the sound's interesting. It doesn't annoy me. I mean, it doesn't grind my brain or anything, but I would say overall, the feel is pretty decent, especially considering what I was expecting. Sound is interesting, different, but the roll was pretty good for the most part. I mean, the roll's definitely close to a true roll. Not probably 100% like a tour ball, but it definitely gets the job done. Time for Old Betsy. Blade style putter. Now I'm interested because this had that wood sound or whatever it was, and so this one's usually a lot louder of a putter, so I'm interested to see how it performs here. Let's see. Still comes off pretty dead actually, and it still has that same consistent sound. It doesn't sound any different. Yeah, no, I mean, it still comes off dead. It still has that same sound. I mean, it's really not a lot different. They're actually very consistent between both, so I gotta say, that's pretty impressive. I mean, we're off to a great start. Yeah, oh, I pulled it, that's on me. I don't have anything, I mean, it's rolling really well. There's not a lot of wobble in the roll either. So, I mean, I'm sure, you know, as far as their manufacturing process, it's not Titleist level, but I don't see anything weird. I mean, it's definitely a pretty true rolling ball, 9 out of 10. Feels consistent. I wouldn't say it feels soft and buttery, but it feels consistent, you know. It's a different style of sound for sure. All right, so let's talk about the feel across all golf clubs. So this is an interesting one. So I guess let's start with if you hit it pure. Okay, if you hit it pure, how does it feel across all golf clubs? Well, I will say that the progression in golf clubs you go, it gets better. So with a 9-iron, pure hits are and then you get to 7-iron and they're okay, and then you get to 5 and it's like, oh, okay, now I'm starting to feel I'm actually putting a little power behind this. And then when you get to driver, it's okay, it's good, you know. I mean, but nothing's phenomenal. It's a very firm, loud, clicky golf ball. Like, it's clicky enough to where, you know, the first couple times you hit it, like I hit it with the 9-iron and I hit it with the 50-yard or the 54-degree wedge for the 50-yard pitch. The first couple times I hit it, it was so loud, I was kind of giggling. Like, I was laughing, it was funny. It's kind of like when, you know, a child has one of those little rubber chicken toys and it goes, you know, like that, and you're like, oh, that's funny. But if they sit there and do it over and over and over and over and over, eventually it gets to the point where you're like, okay, give me that, and you throw it because it's annoying after a while. And that's kind of how this was with the sound. After about 5, 6, 7 shots, I was like, man, this thing is loud. When you hit it, it is clicky and it is just, I mean, it comes into your eardrum and bounces around and then shoots back out. It's not a pleasant experience. So, you know, like I said before, it's probably a 3 out of 5 here. I'll go ahead and put the rankings 3 out of 5 when it comes to pure hits. But boy, when you miss-hit it, it is something really, really bad. I mean, rattles the hands, sounds like crap. And when I say rattles, one second. And when I say miss-hit, right, I don't mean like, okay, here's the sweet spot. Ooh, I hit one off the toe. I mean like, here's the sweet spot. I hit one right here. If you do that, I mean, instantly the feedback is, you know, it doesn't pull you aside and say, hey man, you know, you kind of missed that one. It pulls you into the alley, beats the crap out of you, takes your wallet and goes home and makes it with your wife. Not fun. Not fun experience at all. I can't stand it. So that's probably part of the reason why the gentleman who sent me this didn't care for him. You know, it's one of those things where, yes, if you hit it really well, it does feel like a V6 motor. I kind of talked about that with the Wilson, right? You know, if you have a really well V6 motor. Well, this is like an okay V6 motor, but if you put it in a 6,000-pound car, you know, it's like, it's not a bad motor, but it's trying to lug so much. It just doesn't, it feels heavy. It feels resistant. It just doesn't, it's average. You know, by the time you get all said and done, it's just average when it comes to hitting it pure. But boy, don't mishit it. And I mean, even slightly don't mishit it. Which brings me to my next point. You also probably saw in there as well that forgiveness was 1 star. Guys, this might be the most unforgiving golf ball I've ever tested. I mean, really, it is. It's with the 9-iron, I was losing 20 yards. With the 7-iron, I was losing, I think, 30 to 35. With the hybrid, I was 45. Driver, I think, only 20, so it was a little better. But, I mean, you slightly mishit this like I just showed you off the toe, and you are looking at drastic losses in yardages. I mean, it's the difference between being on the green and doing a 50-yard pitch into the green. It's egregious. So, sorry for the long rant there. I know that was a little long. Let's get into these numbers, but I really wanted to get that out of the way as far as how it felt, about how it comes off the club when you mishit it. I mean, that's a big deal. It's an immediate turnoff for me. So who knows? Maybe these numbers will be decent. I don't know, but let's go ahead and start out with the 50-yard pitch, RPM and backspin. We're looking at 5,571, which might be one of the lowest I've ever tested. Yeah, it's right there with the Wilson profile. That's pretty bad. That's very, very, very low. Now, the difference is that the Wilson profile was a 2-piece distance golf ball. You know, I didn't expect to get a lot of spin from it, but a 3-piece urethane golf ball, I expected to spend a decent amount. I mean, at least 6,500, close to 7,000, somewhere in there. 5,500 is a no-go. I mean, it just is. You can go get Wilson Boost, $1 a golf ball, and get more spin than that. 85 cents a golf ball, excuse me. Yeah, no bueno. The other thing to keep in mind is that one thing I thought was really funny is how low the golf ball wants to launch, and you'll see that across these clubs, how low it launches. But usually with the 50-yard pitch, you know, I'm like 26, 27 on the launch angle. I have a TaylorMade milled grind 4 with a low launching shaft, so usually mine launch low anyway. This thing was like 20 and 22. Like, it was comical how low. In fact, actually, I'm going to show you one of the, I'll put it up here on the screen to show you, but that's what pretty much a lot of them looks like when it comes off, and it's basically like a line drive. Like, that's how it looks. It just looks like a straight line drive. How are you supposed to get any spin with that? So a 50-yard pitch, 1 out of 5. Terrible. Don't like the feel. Don't like the sound. Didn't like the spin. Don't like the ball flight. It doesn't stop. Not off to a great start. Let's go ahead and dive into the 9-iron. Maybe it gets a little better here. We have a launch smash factor of 1.29. 136 on your distance, which is really good. 137.7, which is really good as well. And then 101.9, that's just average on ball speed. And then, wow, one of the lowest spin rates I've seen on a 9-iron. Have I ever even gotten in the 5,000s? No, I have not. So that's by far the lowest amount of spin I've ever seen, 5,762. And then as you can see, it launched low. It launched 17.6, which is normally like what my 7-iron would do, you know, on a mid or high launch. So that's insane. So again, now a lot of you might look at that and say, well, you got really good distance, Nick. Right, but I also took, you know, I hit 15 shots, I condensed it to 10. So basically the 5 that I took out were egregious mishits where I lost 20 yards apiece. So yes, and I'm really good with my 9-iron. It's one of my best clubs. So yes, if you hit the ball in the middle, and this is also the problem with robotic testing, if you hit it in the middle, it's really, really good. But again, that spin rate, it's not going to stick a green very well. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel great. You're giving up a ton of forgiveness. So yes, I'm glad that it actually has pretty good distance, but other than that, those numbers are they're pretty boo-boo. Continuing on with the 7, we have a smash factor of 1.37, which again is average, right in line with it. 160.3, slight gain in distance. 166, boy, that is a heck of a rollout. 114, which is average on your ball speed, and then 4,278. Well, this is an all-time low now. This is just embarrassing. 14.1, a really, 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 really low launch. There's nothing I can do with these numbers. You know, as much as I would love to sit here and try to make light of the situation and say, oh, well, you know, this might be for a guy who, you know, no, there's nothing here. It launches way too freaking low. It has no spin. So, I mean, yeah, I'm getting a little bit extra distance, but at the cost of not landing on, I mean, I have to land this ball 10 yards before the green and just let it roll up in order to have any success with it. And keep in mind, again, egregious on miss hits. I had to take 5 terrible shots off, and if I had, these numbers would be even lower. So, you know, just again, there's nothing I can use there. It's really bad. So I don't know how this is going to continue, but let's go ahead and get into the 5 smash factor. 1.37, that's below average. 174.3, that's below average. 181.9, below, slightly above average, so there must be no spin again. 122.7, that's below average, and yeah, as you can see, 4,155. Not going to stop on a green. It's kind of funny that it got the same RPM spin as the 7 iron, like the 7 and the 5 get the same spin. One's a hybrid and one's an iron. Yeah, that's hilarious. It's almost like someone made a golf ball, but like they had never made a golf ball before. You know, they're like, oh, hey, it's like Moneyball. You know, he goes over, there's a scene in Moneyball where he goes over and he goes, you ever played baseball? And he's like, I played T-ball. Congratulations, you're the new scout. It's like they did that, whoever made this. They're like, hey, you know anything about golf balls? And he's like, yeah, and putt-putt, they're different colored. I always get the purple. He goes, perfect, make our golf ball. It's great. Yeah, there's nothing I can use here. All right, well, let's go to the driver. Let's see if it's any better. 1.44 on your smash factor, which is below average. 227.1, slight gain in yardage, but not as good as the boost we just did. 236.6, same thing. 143.4, okay, so pretty good ball speed, yeah, and it launches, and again, now it wants to have high spin. That's funny, just slightly high spin, but still at 2,527. And then it launched just low. It didn't launch super low. So I would say that the driver is the best out of all of those. Right, so the driver is the best when it comes to as far as the numbers, and those are just okay. They're good. They're like a 6 out of 10, a 7 out of 10 maybe on a good day, but you know, they're okay. But again, not a great feel. Miss hits are egregious. This is the first time I could say, okay, yeah, those numbers, you could use them. I could do something with them. But every other club, anything iron related, anything hybrid related, looks really, really bad. All right, so let's get into the durability before I give you my final thoughts. You know, roughly about a 6 out of 10. You know, it actually looks pretty good in some spots, but when you look here, you can see these look like dirt, these little speckles, but they're not. They're actual scrapes on the cover. So I don't know when these scrapes happened. It could have been, you know, halfway through. It could have been 3/4 through. But the point is that this golf ball is no longer puttable, and so I'd have to toss it. So yeah, you're getting, you know, for $25 a dozen, you're getting, you know, a really great value. But if you're having to replace a ball every half round, you know, every 9 holes, let's say, you know, you're really, I mean, that's really not 12 golf balls, you know, it's really like 6. And so anyway, you're using 2 around. Whereas if you went and got like a Legato or a Wright and Ditson or a Vice or something, you're probably going to be able to use it a lot more. So the value here really isn't that great, especially when you're considering that the durability, it could have been better. It really could have. You know, final thoughts. The golf ball is no bueno. It's almost like, you know, the thing is that it's too inconsistent. The highs are too high and the lows are too lows, right? Because don't get me wrong, it's not like this golf ball doesn't have the potential to be a rocket ship. It really does. There was a couple times with the 7 iron where I really got into it, hit it flush, hit it square, power draw, you know, and with a 7 iron, instead of, you know, 160, I got 180, right? And so that's awesome. But 180 doesn't help when you're on the course and you're sitting there addressing your ball, right? And you're thinking, if I hit this pure, it'll go 180. If I hit it okay, it'll go 160. And if I miss hit it, it'll go 125. And you're like, okay, so anywhere between 125 and 180. That's too much disparity. You know, I mean, it's sometimes it's okay to have the average golf ball that has average performances, but it's consistent, because then you know what, if I mishit it, it's 150, but if I hit it pure, it's 160. So either way, I'm on the green. There's a lot of golf balls that do that and have really good forgiveness. This one, it's the difference between if you're 160 out and you pure it, you're now over the green and possibly out of bounds. And then if you mishit it, you're doing a 40-yard pitch. And there's so much, you know, for beginners and intermediate players, that's not going to work for them. And then you might say, okay, well, Nick, maybe it's for an advanced player. Then play a tour ball. If you're good enough to where, you know, you have that type of distance control and you're a single-digit handicap, you know, even if you're a value golfer, play a Vice or something. There's no need for any really good golfer to play this golf ball. There's no need for any really okay golfer to play this golf ball. If you like to go out on the weekends and get blackout wasted and, you know, fall down and pass out under a tree, cool, have fun, but don't buy this golf ball while you do it. Buy the Wilson Boost instead, or something that's way cheaper and way more performance driven and spin driven and something you'll actually have fun hitting. So not a great test there. I do have another Nitro ball to test. It's their 2-piece model, so we'll see how that one goes. But overall, I can understand, sir, why you did not like these golf balls. Thank you so much for sending to me. It was a fun review to do because I don't get to do a lot of these really bad ones anymore. But as always, keep watching and keep saving and keep learning. Until next time.